So I'm at work and I'm told that I need to take this new training. I open it up and I start to go through and I literally just want to pull my hair out. Another computer-based training that makes me want to fall asleep within 1 second of going through it. This is driving me insane. It's like continuously I'm getting boggled down by e-learning that is developed so bad. So let's talk about why e-learning sucks. I'm going to tell you 10 reasons why e-learning has just went down the tubes in a lot of cases. I would like to say that it's like not only 90% is not good, or maybe like 9 out of 10, but it's probably like 499 e-learning tutorials I go through are terrible out of 500. So maybe you're one of those people that develops awesome stuff. And if you are, thank you. I love you. Thank you for developing great stuff. But there's so much e-learning out there that is terrible. So we're going to go through 10 different reasons, and I'm going to explain each one. Some of them are going to be more explanation than others. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ramey. I've been in the field now for 20 years. I've been developing this stuff for 20 years. I've worked for companies, government agencies. I've worked in higher ed. I now have a Ph.D. in the field and I'm a professor in the field. So I also own a consulting firm. I'm hiring people. I'm still doing this stuff all the time. So I'm going to talk about why a lot of e-learning just sucks. Okay. So I'm going to go through the big problems. It's going to go all the way. I have 10 different reasons. So let's go through the list, talk about all 10. All right. So the first problem that we have is that we just have a bunch of untrained people developing training. Huge reason. Untrained people developing training. I see it all the time in forums. People are like, hey, I'm a programmer, I'm a teacher, I'm an engineer, I'm an auto mechanic, I'm a newspaper delivery, I'm a pizza guy, I'm a whatever you are. I want to be an instructional designer. I'm going to go get a job in the field. No training whatsoever in instructional design, just goes in and wants to be an instructional designer and can possibly get a job. And we'll talk about some of the reasons that is too. So that's one of the biggest reasons. In fact, I've interviewed people who have 15 years of instructional design experience and can't answer basic questions about training design. I don't know how you could ever design training if you didn't know this stuff. And how is this an issue? Because a lot of times instructional design means a bunch of different things. So a lot of people think that instructional design is simply using a tool like Articulate or Captivate to put together a portfolio of just training, and usually what that training is it's the boring training, but they have like this portfolio and they can get a job doing it. Someone hires them as a trainer, but they don't know anything about actual training. That's very similar to like hiring someone that is a good worker or like just an outside person to like be a manager, but they don't have an MBA. They don't have a project management professional certification. They know nothing about management. So the problem is they come in and they're a manager and they don't know like basic management 101. They're like trying to learn on the job how to be a manager. And it just doesn't work, which is why companies hire someone with an MBA. Same thing with instructional design. There are actual degrees out there for a reason. Very similar thing. So let me just give you some examples about some of the things that like an untrained employee might not know and some of the things I run into. So like a lot of times when I get training, the number one thing when you're developing training is to like have some kind of organizational strategy. An untrained employee doesn't even know what that means. And so like they're not using something like Gagne's 9 events. The first rule of Gagne's 9 events is like make your employees engaged in the learning. Make them interested and motivated to take this training. You do that before you even tell them what the objectives are. First step. I never, ever, I don't think in the last like 1,000 e-learning presentations I've taken have had that happen to me. That's how bad the e-learning is that's out there. Like we're not even doing the bare basics. They don't understand instructional strategies. They don't know how to teach low versus high level objectives, like what are strategies to teach factual information versus strategies to teach like problem solving information. They don't know anything about cognitive load limits or about like working memory capacity. And I'll take like this hour-long training, or sometimes it's like a 2-minute training. Like they're not utilizing working memory. Like they're either too short or way too long. Like we go through all these trends like micro learning or an hour-long learning. Like what is it? Why don't you just say, I'm utilizing working memory in this learning? Like this training is developed for the way the human mind works, rather than like all these buzzwords and stuff that may not really be as good. They don't know why or when they should actually be using images to utilize someone's working memory, when they should use text versus audio to actually utilize someone's working memory. They don't know how to develop, like, how do you really assess things and engage learners in an assessment? Like, how do you really develop assessments for problem-solving type knowledge? So there's just so many issues with hiring untrained people. That's one of the big things, is untrained people. Okay, let's go to number 2. Lack of investment by companies. The companies have 1,000 different things they want developed, so they don't dedicate time, money, or manpower just to develop, one e-learning when they have to develop 1,000. They're expecting employees to like churn these things out, like boom, 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 you're done. Here you go. Boom, you're done. Here you go. Like just done. They have this LMS and they want to have this nice, beautiful catalog of courses with like 1,000 different topics on every single thing, so that they can show like new employees, have themselves written about, like, hey, our company does this, has all this training, has this and that. And they want to look like, paint this nice rosy picture when all the training is garbage. But that's the reality of it. And because it can cost a lot to develop good training when you have to really hire a good person. Okay, so that's reason number 2. Reason number 3, nobody even knows it. Nobody knows any better. They don't know. It's because we've been seeing this training so long, you become accustomed to it. You don't know that it can actually be good. You don't know what good training even looks like. So you're like, this is training, this is fun. And that's so common. Next reason, we rely on the computer for everything now. We're scared to say, oh yeah, hey, you know what, this topic or the way our audience is or whatever, we should probably have face-to-face training for this, or a hands-on session, or some kind of, doing session where we're really working. It's like automatic e-learning is the solution for everything now. It's just, and I get that there are reasons, like it's more cost effective and I can deliver it to many people on multiple sites, but just because it's cost effective doesn't mean it's the best solution. The whole problem is we're just over relying on it. We're recommending it before we even hear a problem, which is a problem. And on that topic, we're now developing, when I develop training, I'm developing it for like 20 different devices. Android, Apple, that's mobile devices. I'm developing it for a PC. I'm developing it for a Mac. I'm developing it for the tablet. It's got to run on everything. How can I develop good training that I want to be run on the PC and have it run on my watch too? Like that's where we are. That's what we're trying to do that. So it's like we're trying to cram way too much into one little container. Just doesn't always work. Okay, next problem. We are relying on simple development tools for everything. Before hearing the problem, they have a solution, which is e-learning using Captivate or Articulate. Boom. Every single time. Oh my God, how can you have a solution without hearing the problem? Why are you relying on the simplest tools 24/7? Don't be afraid to say, you know what? I think we need to develop it like this, and it probably needs to be programmed. No, because on to the next reason. We've made the instructional designer a one-stop shop. Every instructional designer now wants to be like, I can do it all. So what's happened is you stretched yourself super, super thin, and you're just like okay at everything. Instead of being really good at one or two things, you're okay at everything. What does that mean? Well, we don't hire a graphic artist anymore when we're doing e-learning. We just use a bunch of stock. Oh my God, the stock images drive me insane most of the time because I just keep seeing repeats over and over again from different companies. They're all using the same stock images. Hire a graphic artist. Well, we don't need a videographer. The instructional designer can film that because they're a video professional, even though they don't have a videographer degree, a degree in video. They probably never really shot professional video, but we're going to just use them. We don't need to hire a professional voice narrator. Let's just have the instructional designer, who probably has not a professional voice, just go ahead and do it. We don't need a programmer. We can just use Captivate or Articulate or whatever tool it is of the year. I've been seeing this for 20 years. Back in the day, it was Toolbook and Director and Authorware. And then it was, all of a sudden, it was Flash. And then it moved from Flash into like Captivate and Articulate and Lectora and the tools we're at now. It's just one thing after another, these simple tools, because the instructional designer isn't a programmer, so they're not going to recommend that as a solution, because we've made the instructional designer a one-stop shop. We expect that, we think that's what it is, and that's what we want to do. Okay, and then to go on to that point, follows right through, we just keep recommending the same solution over and over again. We are afraid to think outside the box. So we have these simple development tools. We've made the idea one-stop shop. And so what that leads to is just recommending the same solution over and over. As I said, I have the solution before I've heard the problem. I've got the solution for you. I'm a one-stop shop. I can do it all. And I got the tools to do it all. I use Articulate or Captivate. I develop everything. I do all the video, whatever you need. I've got it. One person, one-man team. I don't need a videographer. I don't need this. Same solution over and over and over again. So when I go to a company, I see they have this catalog of 1,000 courses, all done the same, all boring, all the same exact thing. Okay, let's go on to our final 3 points. Okay. I know, this just drives me insane, and this is why I'm like venting in this video. Okay. We say we want training. So the company tells us they want training, but what's happened is training doesn't always mean training anymore. When someone says they want training, really what they're asking for, like I've done this for so many firms as a consultant. They tell me they want this training course and I'm all ready to develop training, but really what they want, it's a software walkthrough or like a job aid walkthrough that I can develop really quick in like Camtasia or something like that. That's all they want. They don't really want training. They just want me to walk through software so that someone can look at it on the screen. That's all they want. They don't want actual training. They don't realize the difference between a software walkthrough and training because they just don't know, and that's what they want. So we think that's training. I could probably, what is funny is I could probably take someone who's not an instructional designer whatsoever, have them just develop a few software walkthroughs as like a portfolio in Articulate, and they can probably get a job as an instructional designer because the person hiring them doesn't know any different. And then all that employer is going to get is that kind of stuff over and over and over again. Never any training is going to happen. Okay. Next thing we do. We keep, for some odd reason, and this goes back to untrained people, all right, so we keep reinventing the wheel instead of going forward. When we really started to apply ADDIE in the 70s and 80s, we learned how it really works. And what we've done since the 80s is we've reinvented ADDIE like 1,000 times. I talked to every company or instructional designer I talked to has a different version of ADDIE. They're all the same. We're still doing ADDIE no matter what. That they want to keep using some different model. And what's happening is we have new authors and like companies and people publishing a new instructional design model that is just the same thing we already have. For some reason, we spend this significant time in the field reinventing the wheel, which all that does is help us regurgitating these same solutions over and over again, rather than pushing other kinds of theories and new types of learning forward. All right. And finally, my final point, number 10. We've accepted that training isn't fun. We're okay with boring. We really are. I can make the most boring tutorial, put it in a portfolio, and get a job with it. Because we've just accepted that training is actually boring. This topic's boring. This training should be boring. That's fine. It looks like it teaches people. We're okay with that. I literally cannot believe that that's where we are. That's what e-learning has become. But that's what it is. Okay, so let me go through my 10 reasons again. We hire and have untrained people out there in the field. And I see that, on forums and everywhere. People ask, I don't have a degree in instruction. I don't know anything about instructional design. I want to go do it. Okay, lack of investment in resources by companies. Nobody knows any better. They don't know that training could be good. A reliance on the computer for every single thing. Reliance on the same development tools for every single thing. We've made ID a one-stop shop. We keep implementing the same solutions over and over again. We don't want to think outside the box. We say we're developing training, but really we're just developing a software simulation or a job aid. We keep reinventing the wheel instead of going forward, specifically like with various ID models that we're constantly trying to reinvent, even though they're the same. And we've accepted that training isn't fun. It's okay being boring. Now, hopefully, if you're watching this, you're like, you know what? My training isn't like that, and I really hope it's that. Or if you're learning about instructional design right now and you're trying to learn how to make it good and do different things, I hope that you watch something like this and you're like, wow, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm not going to be one of those people developing the boring stuff. When I get my job or I have a job or I'm at a company, let's actually make training fun. Let's do some really cool stuff. Make our employees really engaged and like excited when they get training. So they're like, oh, this is going to be cool. Like, it's not going to be like a waste of the next hour or whatever it is. Like, let's make them actually excited and actually do some cool stuff, because e-learning can be awesome. It can be cool. It's a great option for training, but we got to get away from the boring stuff that we're putting out there. Thank you very much.